look at your screen right now and you are seeing the most beautiful logo. Hold on, I want to get Eli's comments on here.
Yeah.
Didn't he break it down like point by point?
He sure did. And he did it from a graphic design perspective.
It's funny. He's done a couple the last few days. And I read that, like, I look at the logo or look at the graphic and I see some obvious things wrong with it. And then I read his breakdown. I go, oh, shit, I didn't even think about that. You know,
Even more than I know.
Yeah.
Makes you look at your own graphics and be like, maybe if I do it myself, this is the same eye somebody else is giving me. Yeah. But this one is particularly terrible and kind of on brand. So you can't really hate on it that much because it's like, what would you really expect? We've seen different variations of logos and different kinds of concepts. This one kind of takes the cake. It's very, I don't even know what to say. It's just very there.
There we go. So yeah, starting off in the middle of the graphic, you see just a stock footage, a globe, and curling around it, not centered correctly. It starts off on the left. Oh, no. By retro, it starts off well. And then by the time it goes to revival, it's off the track. The train has gone off the track. It's a real easy thing to shape it correctly, but I guess whoever made this didn't know how to do that. And then, since it is retro wrestling revival, they have various logos from WWF, WCW, ECW. Is that the final WCW logo?
That's the Invasion era.
That's the Invasion
logo.
So there was never ever any shows run under that.
No, it was a 4 or 5 month use of a WWE graphic.
Yeah, that's a stable.
Yes, that's a great point.
And then under that is something I don't think they've ever covered or even mentioned is the AWA logo. Dean, they've never done AWA, right? To your knowledge?
No, or ACW either. ACW down the bottom in the left corner there. They've never done ACW.
We want them to do ECW because we have,
yes.
some of the panelists on this show have some deep connections to ECW legends. So, guys, do ECW, please.
Not only connections, but like as being a admitted super ECW mark from going to the shows and all that, and just being from Philly, like it almost is like an invitation or a challenge because I would probably take it personally. What are you talking about?
Joe and I shared a nice cry in the middle of the ECW arena 3 weeks ago.
Yeah. Yep.
You guys met in person. How was that? Tell us about that.
That was great. It was a great show. It was a great day. Hot as balls inside the arena. I mean, just thousands and thousands of people. But I would just like to point out that I'm the only one who has met any of these people involved with either this side of the retro wrestling revolting, whatever this is. And then this panel, I'm the only one who seems to get around and meet these people.
Mike and I shared a room once, not a bedroom. I mean, or a hotel room, but a big room. But did not meet each other. Yeah, but Chad, now that we're on here, I can put you on the spot and you can tell the truth. How bad was the hangover permeating from my pores? Did you get a whiff of any vodka, perhaps?
Definitely a little slower on the fastball that morning, but still, nonetheless. But then to be positioned like right next to the, like the snack bar, probably there's good residual hangover, fuel for you. But it was a great day, great time. I was with the mayor himself, Mr. Glenn Jacobs, and it was an absolute blast. One of the best shows I've ever been a part of. But again, Joe and I got to shoot the breeze and chop it up inside the ECW arena.
Underneath the AWA logo is the scratch logo. You can barely see it because, it's a black logo, but you can barely see it. Eli touches on that in his description. Eli says, I'm not sure who's responsible for this, but they need to stop. And number one, the world is not centered. And he's right about that.
Sounds philosophical almost.
Yeah. Number two, the text over the word is even more off center. Yep.
It's a little bit hanging to the left. Maybe they're trying to be abstract.
3, space the text so you can read it better. Just like WWR, retro and wrestling, they're spaced nicely. But then when you get from wrestling to revival, there's like a double or triple space in between that. So it's like maybe that's their theme. They like doing that. Very strange.
And something, I can't, like, maybe Eli fucking hates those guys. I'm sure he does. I don't really remember or know the particulars, but like what we're doing right now, this is a totally harmless, critique. Like this is like instructional almost, And I wish that at some point, when they get something like this ready, they at least pass it by someone like Eli who knows what to spot and go, hey, should we put this logo out? But they don't seem to do that. They just seem to just do something, and release it. Do something and release it. You know, there's never any consulting with anyone.
Yeah. None of the logos are the same size. Correct. Do not put a black logo on a black background. That's the scratch logo. None of the logos are spaced equally.
No.
Vertically or horizontally.
They're not.
You know, when you're using Photoshop, there's like, you can drag stuff around and then like a purple guideline will show up
Right.
magically. You know,
Right.
it can sense where you should put the objects, but I don't know. Maybe they're using a very old version.
I don't even use, I don't use Photoshop. I use an app called PicMonkey, which you can use on your phone or you could use it on the desktop, which is where I usually do all my graphics for Francine, a triple threat. And granted, it's not, I don't want it to be this amazing thing. I just have to do something each week, send it out. But it gives you the gradients. It gives you that scale where you can just line it up perfectly. And whereas maybe sometimes I feel like my depth perception is off and I might be a little bit leaning to the left or right. You literally, they'll show you how you can square it up so perfectly. It's the simplest thing if you're going to use this as your, introduction to your shows.
Number 8, no clear indication of what you are promoting. And that is a great point because, I mean, number one, it's just such a generic name, you know? If you were just to see this, you wouldn't know what it's for. You know, is it a show? Is it a podcast? Is it a YouTube show? No, it's a Facebook Live performance. It's very generic, very generic. Even the font is like, I think it's Impact font. Where would we find what you are trying to promote? Include website, social media addresses. Yes. Where is the normal? Please make sure to like and follow. You know, they always, he has to include the make sure to. I don't see that anywhere on here.
Make sure you do whatever you do. Just make sure.
It's tough to categorize it. I mean, it doesn't list what it is, but they don't know what it is. You can't put Wrestling Retro Revival podcast, or it's not a podcast. It's not. Mm-hmm. Is it it's not a YouTube show. What the fuck is it?
They've got the double up on WWF. We mentioned the stable WCW and then WCW. They've got 2 companies that they've never actually watched. But then they do watch TNA. TNA's not on there, but you've doubled up on a couple others. Like, what are you even doing?
Yeah, they do.
That is the ultimate question.
It's the ultimate question. Yes,
they've done that XPW group, but I don't see that logo on here.
WXO.
Yeah, whatever it's called.
Yeah, well, they've done a bunch of
failed wrestling promotions because no one's ever done that.
There are kids, like legit, like children that have like wrestling figure leagues that they post like on YouTube, or you see stuff pop up on Instagram or Twitter that put a bigger effort into focusing their figure leagues and showing what it's going to be, what you're going to watch tonight on the figure action. Put better effort into this. This is lazy. Yeah. This is, again, it's on brand, so I'm not going to kill them for that. But it's just like, again, what are we reviving? Yeah. What part of retro wrestling are we reviving? Retro wrestling, and this is not a cheap plug for New Generation Declassified every week on the TMPT Empire or the Hogan era and all the great classic content. Retro wrestling and classic wrestling is probably more popular than new wrestling. So what are we reviving? That's the dumbest part of it. What is the revival?
It's never gone out of style. It's never, retro wrestling has always been either right up there or above current modern day wrestling. You can go back 5 years, 10, 15. It's always been that way. So they're not reviving it from anything. It was never dead.
Even before Conrad started with Bruce and then on and on and on, which his entire empire is based on retro wrestling. There was guys at this site called the Place to Be Nation that were really, really good at it.
The
best. Yeah. Their old interviews with Kevin Kelly, I think, were like the template almost for Conrad.
Oh yeah. Kevin Kelly, Gary Michael Capetta. They did great interviews at a time when nobody was really doing any kind of classic wrestling content.
Yep.
But it's just, again, it's been done a million times by people that know it better. And now I've seen this kind of trend, not even with them, but just around podcasting. It seems to be people are just listening to the Conrad shows and then moving on to doing their own shows about that stuff. I can admit and say I have never listened to one, and I'm not trying to say I'm so cool or too great and I can't take the time for the podcasting. Not saying that, but all these other retro wrestling shows are taking what Bruce and Bischoff and JR are saying and then doing shows about it. Mm. These guys, it's like, what are you reviving? It's as healthy as it's ever been.
Yeah, you kind of stole my point a bit there, Chad, as I was going to say. I guarantee you, all of these guys on Retro Wrestling Revival, they decided they wanted to podcast when they were listening to Conrad's shows, and they're like, "Oh, this would be cool to talk about." And so, yeah, you're not, like I say, you're not reviving anything. This is the revival is what inspired you to do podcasting.
That's right.
So Eli's final point: have some pride in your work and your product. Presentation is paramount. I don't know. John had to see this and approve it, and he gave his thumbs up to it. So,
or he did it. Either one.
No, he didn't. He didn't do it.
Oh, he did.
I know. Okay. I know who did it. Yeah, Eli smartened me up to who did it, and.
Let me guess.
Yeah. Before we get to that,
can you
before
say
we get to that, here's my version of their logo.
Now, how long did this take you to do?
Guys, I wake up at 5:30 on the weekdays, right, for work. I take a shower, I get dressed, I have a cup of coffee, and then I sit down at the computer for 20, 25 minutes. And this took me exactly 5 minutes to make. So
everything's
got everybody
aligned.
there.
It's a beautiful logo.
It's got everybody on there. Yeah. Dean, is that a new logo?
Eli did that for me.
Oh, he did? Okay.
Yeah. I like that.
I'm going to have to get the full version. Eli, if you're watching this, please send me the full res version of that. All right, so here is the inventor of that logo. It is Deadeye Graphics. Now, the strange thing is you have to look it up with Dead and then the letter I Graphics. But then if you go here, it's Dead EYE Graphics. Just like his
how great is that cover photo?
Is that him? Is he the Deadeye?
Yeah. Your one-stop shop for event graphics and more. And I love, and I told Eli this, I love that the guy included the HTTPS : //www.
If this guy couldn't be any more perfect for the Retro Wrestling Revival brand, we're getting a stable here of over the top perfect characters for them.
Thank you, Universe, for uniting these two factions together because they are perfect.
Jesus Christ.
Well, I just love that the cover photo. This is the one thing with Eli. He'll line the photo up so it works perfectly. That's how you see it. He's got all of his. So he's got his Facebook page. You can't see it unless you click on it. Like, you know what I mean? It needs to be shrunk down and lengthened out. Like, it perfectly suits his graphic style at the same.
Anybody who makes fan art or anybody who makes any type of things on a computer can end up doing this. But I guess, when you find a promotion like this that needs some sort of gravity. Now, I don't know. Did he make these? I mean, this seems like he might have outsourced this on Fiverr and then brought it back to whoever he was presenting it to. I mean, look at these stars. This is great.
Oh, shit.
Where is this located? Pennsylvania? Dude, what is it about Pennsylvania and the independent promotions?
Long Pond.
Where's that, Joe? Is that near you?
I have no idea.
ECW probably had a show at their event center or something at some point.
Williamsport, Joe?
It's north.
Tony Toxic.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, now we know where it's coming from. Tony Toxic just popped by the screen.
I saw Joe Davis's name pop up as well. So
there we are.
That's the connection. Yeah.
Team JD represent.
Yeah.
Takes a lot of training to hit somebody with a cookie sheet.
Well, I'll just give them credit for renting out a gymnasium like that and not having anybody in it, just renting it out. Good for them.